It looks like the dream of a Dragonlance live action TV show has been crushed. Not just for Joe, but also for myself. I was genuinely looking forward to the Dragonlance adaptation. I'm a big fan of that series. I like it more than the Forgotten Realms. I know it's not the most popular, but it was an incredibly important book series to me growing up, starting with the original trilogy by Weiss and Hickman, and then I went on to read so much other stuff by Weiss and Hickman over the years, the Dark Sword trilogy, the Ninth Gate, Death Gate cycle, like all sorts of fun stuff with them, and I, was really excited to see this because I loved the D&D movie they just did. Baldur's Gate 3 was a knockout hit. However, Hasbro has not handled the Wizards of the Coast property very wisely in the last couple of years, and they've done some irrevocable damage with the OGL fiasco and some other stuff. So that and the combination of the latest fifth edition stuff not being well received essentially led towards all of these projects being canceled. So I guess there's an interview, which I haven't seen the interview in full yet. I'm reading this over at comicbook.com. I guess Joe Manganiello had an interview recently. I guess it was with Comic Books Chris Killian in an exclusive interview. He said he confirmed that a proposed live-action Dragonlance project is not moving forward, despite the script receiving high praise from some Hollywood producers. He says Dragonlance is not a property they are interested in developing further. So the planned project was not moving forward due to several issues, including Hasbro's sale of the eOne studio after poor performance, and then the overall poor performance of the Dragonlance D&D adventure and board game that dropped in 2022. So I can tell you why, by the way. If we want to pause for a minute, I can tell you why the Dragonlance adventure wasn't well received. Do you want to know why? Because you didn't have Weiss and Hickman involved, and around the same time that all of that was going on, you were in a lawsuit with Weiss and Hickman because you stiffed them over the new Dragonlance trilogy that they were writing. Like you literally canceled it in the middle of them already, had already finished the first novel, had already done drafts for second, third, were well deep into production, and all of a sudden Weiss and Hickman took everybody to court, and eventually won and were able to complete that trilogy of books. So Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast have not treated Dragonlance with very much respect at all. Joe mentions in here that Tracy had told him there's been 35 million copies that are currently in circulation of the Dragonlance series. It sold a ton of copies. It is extremely popular. However, Wizards of the Coast has treated it like absolute crap, and Hasbro, by default because they're the owners of this. Just the way they've treated the creators of this over the years, it's very unfortunate, you know, and all of this kind of culminated in that adventure that was released at the Board Gamer and released in 2022 just wasn't well received. If you had had Weiss and Hickman on board and had paid them the money and brought them back into the fold and didn't just have them writing a new trilogy of books, but also involved in the tabletop space because that was Hickman's bread and butter for years and years and years, and Weiss as well has worked on tabletop stuff. All you had to have done, that's all you needed to do, was bring them into the fold, and you would have sold your Dragonlance stuff. I don't know. It's sad to me that this didn't make it through. I mean, the interview was interesting. He had a lot of cool things to say of people that had looked at the script and had a lot of potential, and people told him good things about it. And it sounds like he got it was very well received, and he put a lot of time and effort into it. But unfortunately, it's just one of those things where the timing wasn't right because uh, Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast have just genuinely it's sort of their own fault at this point. They have kind of destroyed the D&D brand, or at least all of the goodwill that had been built up over the years. And now we've got, Critical Role is striking out and doing other things, and they've got all their Amazon projects, and they've got their new tabletop rule sets, and the all the stuff that came out of the OGL with Pathfinder going off and doing their ORC and all these other new licenses and all these other new companies. I mean, it was just an unfortunate reality that this was a casualty of war. So Joe, I feel you. Man hug, fist bump, because I also loved Dragonlance, and I'm very sad that this won't come to fruition. Maybe later on down the road. I think it sucks because he's mentioned here he tried to buy the Dragonlance IP, and no, no, sorry. we're just gonna hold on to that because yeah, we're just that way, and that just sucks. Like it sucks that they have somebody who's willing to do it, who has done something that a lot of people have apparently looked at and liked, and ultimately, even though he was offering to like, I'll buy it and I'll just do it on my own, and they're like, nope, nope, we're gonna hold on to that. I just think that that's so stupid. You could do good things with it. Just let people do things. I don't know, whatever. I'm kind of I don't do when I do news articles, I try to always end things on a positive note. But this one made me grumpy this morning because it's like I was really looking forward to this, and it makes me very sad to see Dungeons and Dragons in the state that it's in because I've grown up with many of their worlds throughout the breadth and depth of their literary content that they have. They have many worlds within the Dungeons and Dragons brands, and I've loved every world I've ever stepped in. Obviously, Forgotten Realms is a big thing for many, many, many people. It's a big thing for me too. Like the original Baldur's Gate series, the Icewind Dale games, the Neverwinter Nights games. Those are all Sword Coast titles, and we've had a lot of fun in the Sword Coast over the years. And going back before that to like Pools of Radiance and etc. Like the Forgotten Realms have always been a big thing, but Dragonlance for me has always held that special place in my heart as being like it's the one IP that it had just as many books as Forgotten Realms. It was just popular before Forgotten Realms. So it was before we had all of the novelty of, you know, all these things that came around with the Forgotten Realms era of Dungeons and Dragons that just didn't come to fruition during the Dragonlance era. We don't talk about that horrible animated movie. It's actually not that bad. It's bad, but it's not that bad. Um, I love Dragonlance. I would have loved to have seen a live action movie in the vein of the film. The film was really, really well done. Hopefully, we get another one of those. I think that they treated that well, and it was a fun adventure. But it looks like we will have to suffice with whatever comes next in the franchise. And I don't know what is coming next because Baldur's Gate 3 was like the last big. There are there are several projects in the works, but we haven't seen any sort of news on those in terms of release dates or anything else. And I'm pretty sure those are all Forgotten Realms projects. So unfortunately, given the fact that the Dragonlance board game and tabletop didn't sell because you didn't have Weiss and Hickman involved, since that didn't sell well, I have serious doubts that the Coast is going to be looking at investing any more money in developing anything Dragonlance related anytime soon. Now that the new novel trilogy is out and done, the board game's out and done, the tabletop adventure is out and done, and eOne has now been sold off. It's just a casualty of war. Sucks. Anyway. Meanwhile, the novels are still there for those of you who want to read them. I just reread the trilogy maybe about 4 years ago. I could totally do it again. It's such a good series. And there's lots of books for those of you who want to sink your teeth in and read it. Anyway, folks, that's it for the news today. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Daily streams here and on Twitch. Don't forget the Discord. Check out all the playlists. You can get a copy of my latest novel, which is inspired by Dragonlance a lot. Links are down below. See you guys next time.